Hello, and welcome to the Dance of the Soul. So, with this show today, Regan's going to come in here in a minute because of the fact that he's moving to a new place so that he gets better signal. He's on the road again. So, busy man he is. So, I'm Natasha Venter, and I'm a psychic medium. I do a lot of healing work, for people who are looking for healing through their past lives, and a lot of things happening in their DNA, which is about what's our DNA that is making us sick and that kind of stuff. So with that I try to help with that, and we're all in the midst of going forward and managing our lives and being busy, that we forget that a lot of our emotions can trigger some of our health problems, and then our past lives can kind of get laid in on our lives. So with that, the today's show was going to be and is about our DNA, and how to work with our past lives and our family DNA to come into a healing moment now. And it's not necessarily that we're all in the midst of being able to do that. You know, I know I've had to do that a lot with my life. So with that as we're going forward in our lives, that many times going into the work that we're doing with our lives is that we have to really think positively. And I use the mantra which was given to me by another medium, and Raven, I'm grateful for that. That it's that whenever we're talking about something that is not good for us, we can always say cancel, clear, delete, like you do on the computer, cancel, clear, delete, right? Well, that came to me in a perfect time, because the fact that, we're all going through something. And when we're ailing or when there's something going on, and I know that for me, over the last 24 to 48 hours, it was like a collective that, my body just couldn't handle all the things that I was going through personally. And I can't really go into that. And, I'm trying to do this with very much loving care. When I talk about certain things, that when I was under a lot of these, going deep into some shadow work, and then there's lots of triggers going on around me. Well, my body had enough. And then I ate something that was just a little bit off for my body, not necessarily off for anybody else, but off for my body. And it last night decided that it didn't want any more of anything. And so it kind of rebelled, and I allowed it to. That's the thing, is that as much as I didn't want to, I allowed my body to do its own healing work, which was not have anything left in it. And I'm trying to do that as truthfully as I can, because we're all going through something, and our emotions do that. And I know that I had somebody else who wonderfully said that, her tummy was upset. And, it's one of those things that going forward, that, we can only deal with what we got. But it's treating ourselves better if we can, doing the better work that we can, because it is hard to digest our life. And when we're digesting our life, and I'm going to check and see if Regan has, nope, he hasn't texted me yet. That there's these stories of negotiations and dealings with that we go through, and doing this DNA work and doing the really deep ingrained things that we have, that many a times when we go through these stories of why is this happening to my body, that it's like I can tell you that my neck, I have a certain spot in my neck that keeps getting triggered, right? But I really realize, and I've realized this for a long time, that how many times have I been hung in a past life? How many times have I had my head cut off in a past life? How many times have I been poisoned in my past life? How many times have I been having to deal with stress and all this kind of stuff? since my past lives. And even in this one, with being dyslexic, a lot of people judged me for being stupid because I couldn't read, because I had all these structures things and that kind of stuff. And so, Veronica, yeah, yes, you've been having a lot of stomach problems, and I really like that idea of doing that. I really feel it was very helpful. And I've been doing a lot of stomach problems. I really like that idea of doing that. Yeah, it's not necessarily that you want to get sick or anything like that, because it's very jarring to the body. And like today, I really made sure I drank tea to right my what you want to call it, uh and then just making sure that I ate good today. Like, there's a store that I have here that makes, they have really good chicken noodle soup, and that just kind of settled in on my body. But it's like I didn't feel sick. That's the thing, is I just knew that that was my body saying, I'm done with this energy. So when we're dealing with some scenarios with ourselves, and having a hard time digesting, and we're finally safe and healthy, it's one of those things that we can only do what we can do with our bodies when we're in that stress. And so with that I want you to know that a good mantra is, I'm digesting my life. And I even said that last night when my stomach was upset, I'm digesting my life, because it's one of those things. So here is Regan now, probably in a better place, because he, with oh, what do you want to call it? You know,
Hi.
you had to drive around a little bit, huh?
Oh man, I got all set up. I wanted to be nice and quiet, so I'm in my Sprinter van because I've been doing client sessions in LA all week, and I found a good place, got all set up, and it only had like 1.5 bars, so I couldn't even load the thing. So I remembered earlier I was having a car issue with the water drip, and I was in the Lowe's parking lot and they had 5 bars. So right now I'm in LA in a Lowe's parking lot, you know. So
How low can you go, right?
yeah, yeah, had a great week though. I know today we're talking about illnesses and things, right?
Well, DNA and past lives, and how
Oh yeah,
can
the
we,
DNA, right?
and a lot of it's not necessarily problems with health, but it is, DNA triggers a lot of health problems,
Yeah,
but it also triggers a lot of mental scenarios. It triggers a lot of fear based, because even just things that our parents talk about or people around us talk about, we get the fear base, and past lives can do that same thing. So it's a little bit of a lot of different things in that way, is what today's show is going to be about, is how
yeah,
can we
yeah,
heal both of them, you
yeah,
know and it's not that, and personal sessions can get a little bit more detailed in this, going to Regan for hypnosis, or me, going through and doing some work as in a private session, because we can get into more detail. But this is a general conversation about why do we get triggered with our DNA and our past lives. And right now, the planets and a lot of different things are triggered for us to get our shadow work done, which is that stuff that we don't want to deal with. It's that, why do I feel shame?
yeah,
Why do I feel guilt? Why do I feel why am I dealing with this person in this way that's triggering me? And all these things that are like those ickier feelings that we have.
yeah, yeah. Because I know we're finding out in therapy when I do, like I say, life between lives therapy, where my clients go into deep trance and they actually visit the afterlife for a few hours. And while they're there, like this week, every single one was able to have a body scan where their higher self or someone on the other side, they had like a heaven doctor or an afterlife doctor that's up there that would do a body scan for them. And the first thing they would tell them is why they have their issues,
Hmm.
and it's like sometimes it's because of the way what they've done to their body with the wrong choices they've made, and they try to tell them, hey, you got to knock this off or knock that off, and if you want to get better, sometimes it comes their illnesses are coming from a past life. But as you were making me aware of in last week, something I had not thought of before is how some issues are handed down in our DNA. In other words, passed on. I guess in the medical community, they say, that, if your dad or mom or your whole family has, cancer issues, there's a good chance that, that you will too. So I guess one thing that would be good for Natasha and I to try to help you figure out is, which is it, because that can give you a clue, if
Or
it's,
it's both.
or it's both, right? Yeah. So if it's just a matter of you're making wrong choices and what you're putting in your body here, or wrong ways of looking at things, you're holding in anger, resentment, you're all uptight all the time. Chances are that your illnesses are from you restricting your body for so long that
Mhm.
your body can't normally do its normal healing. Um, but if it's from a past life, if you don't know about that, it's kind of hard to fix something you don't know about.
Yeah,
So
and sometimes though there's, because even me, I'm not aware of all my past lives. I mean, I can get a glimpse of them, but yet,
yeah,
it's like, but like this thing with my neck, it's like, well, I had a car accident when I was, young, and so it triggered, the neck issue, and then it kind of hit me. It's like, oh, how many times have I been hung, poisoned and all that kind of stuff. Okay, well, I'm not going to necessarily know about them, but I'm just going to say that, because I don't like to swallow certain things, I've always had a situation where I can wear necklaces, but yet, like, this is the smallest I can get, because otherwise I start feeling
yeah.
choked.
Hmm.
I have these scenarios that, I've not been able to wear, bracelets and stuff like that because of feeling claustrophobic,
Yeah.
because of being chained so many times, so there's these scenarios that
Right.
happen where that it's like, why am I this way? But you kind of go through, like, turtlenecks. I can't wear turtlenecks because I feel like I'm being strangled. And so with that even if you get these feelings, you can kind of attain that, why would I feel this way? Well, if you're aware of more than one life, you can go, well, there's possibilities I've had this scenario in past lives, and
Yeah.
I'm going to cancel, clear, delete them. This is this lifetime. I'm clear of that. But then you're still going to have some, like, maybe some shadow work of that. For me with bracelets, it's shadow work. I'm
Yeah.
having to say I'm not in that lifetime, but it's so valued in what I'm doing in this lifetime that I have a hard time wearing bracelets today, with things that but it's one of those things that you can either put up with it or you don't want to put up with it. And I've done a lot of healing work on it, but obviously haven't dealt with all of the healing work that I need to, because otherwise I would be able to wear bracelets. and
Yeah.
and I know that there's the tapping and that kind of stuff. There's something about me needing to see it right now to negotiate through what I'm needing to heal, because
Yeah.
this is my lifetime. I'm supposed to clear up pretty much all my lifetimes.
Yeah. Which is a lot of work sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And well, in the work that we do, I guess you would call us light workers because we try to let people know and get people to really realize that it's not just this physical existence here, but the metaphysical part of ourself, or that our true self and everything resides in the metaphysical, which is beyond here. You know,
Hmm.
and in former lifetimes, a lot of us that have done that work when things weren't so open, you'd get burned at the stake, stoned, killed, murdered, whatever, because people did not want to hear about that. But we're people that are listening here, we're so lucky to be in a world, and now in this country, I would say here, because not all countries are open to the light workers still.
Hmm.
But at least here now, it can be openly discussed. And there's people like Natasha and I where you can get so much help to get to see the bigger picture of, what we are, who we are, why we're here, and what we're supposed to be doing. And it's a game changer for being able to get through this life with the least amount of difficulties. You'll still have issues and stuff all the time, but you have more knowledge, so you can get through. Uh,
Hmm.
you know, you can get.
Yeah.
I liken it to a mechanic that only has a crescent wrench and a couple screwdrivers in his box. And what we try to do is add all those specialty tools, that go in the box. So when an issue comes up, you have all these other tools that you can use, to help get you through life
Exactly,
that way.
exactly. Because I know that for me, I've gone through, I call them implosions. When there's those things that just come up where it's like, holy crap, why is that, even picking on me, and then it really triggers some of the past of this lifetime. I call yesterday past life. So it's like the past of
Yeah.
yesterday in this body, and then other past lives. And you're just kind of like feeling like, how can I get my head above water? And those are those implosions, I call them, those life altering moments that take your legs out from underneath you to give you a look. And I know for me, I went through about three of or four of them through the full moon and eclipse. We're coming up on the new moon, so that was about 2 weeks ago now. But it's still very much right there with me, because eclipses, they kind of have that energy that carries on for a couple of days. But when we go through those implosions and those knowings and those dealings, and Veronica, you had one not too long ago too. She's watching that.
Yeah.
Those are those things. It's like those things that really take your legs out from underneath you, that when we get those, it's like, oh, wait a minute, how much of that is the past, and how much is that of today, and how much of that is and she says, yep. And the DNA, because I know for me that it's circling back around again with my mom had Lou Gehrig's disease, and there's a family member who got a blood test done about how there's a generation that has that scenario. And you see how I'm separating myself from that
Yeah.
scenario, because the fact that I am done, I'm healed, I'm healing, I am free from that journey. I am no longer in that line of DNA work, because I've gone through and did that work to heal that. And my mom passed away the same life that I am now, the same age I am now. So she'd be laying in the bed here, at the same age I am. And so with that doing this healing work, it takes a lot of scenarios and a lot of mental awareness of the whispers that come up and say, are you sure, you took care of that? Knock, knock,
Yeah.
knock, you have these little twitches in your muscles, what's going on? I go, yeah, it's a twitch, it is just a twitch, and telling myself it's just a twitch. It's not a twitch of that. It's a twitch of just a twitch. And so it's that brainwashing yourself in a way. And
Yeah.
Sue says here, um, hi, Sue. So she says, in hypnosis sessions, I saw that some of my emotional issues came from being killed in a past life, because I was intuitive.
Yeah.
Mhm. Going past death, I was able to see the bigger picture and release the fear. Good job for you. And that's the
Yeah.
work. And I know for Sue, working with Sue and both Veronica, both Sue, that they've been willing to go into four-wheel drive, let's say, of their life, and get through the muck of it and do this healing work. And you have to be able to get into four-wheel drive and get into your life to do some of this healing work,
Yeah.
because it does make a difference. It really does, because I know my dad who had colon cancer. I'm free from that journey, because he passed away the same age I am now too. That it's that story that we can either repeat. Like I had somebody who I was with that she says, yeah, it's in my family and I'm so afraid of. I said,
Yeah. I get that a lot.
stop. Just stop. You don't have to be afraid. You're pulling it to you when you're afraid. You're pulling it to you when you keep thinking about it and you stand in fear of it. And it's like, and it's not that I try to push it away, but it's just that uh, not my story. And I know I've had some stomach issues and food sensitivities, but I also know that it's kind of like cleaning a new path, through the brush, the blackberry vines and stuff. And if you're cleaning a new path for your life, you're going to have scenarios that pop up that trigger you to think differently about things, because as we're going through life and managing that, we have to be willing to go on a new path than what our family has done,
Yeah.
and it takes work.
Yeah. I read a case history a couple of days ago from another person that does what I do. And one of his clients, when they got him really, really deep to go to a past life, and she had no body. She was just energy, and she was observing things everywhere in the universe. And so the therapist kept wanting to just fish around and kept moving her around until, and from lifetime to lifetime, she just was energy observing things. And
Mm-hmm.
then he says, well, she's finally in a body now because she's right in front of me. And one of the issues that she came to the therapist for is she had severe eczema.
Eczema. Mm-hmm.
Eczema, okay, all over her body. It was horrible. And in deep trance, they found out that when her higher self was talking to her, which when people go into these sessions like that I do for people, you actually merge with your higher self, and your higher self can tell you why you have your issue. And the reason she subconsciously created the eczema was because it was a constant reminder that she's in a physical body. She had the itch or something, because she was having such a hard time being in a physical body when she had the freedom of just being energy and consciousness, and
Mm-hmm.
it was very difficult for her to be in a human body. So, and it's so not like her. So the eczema was this thing like, oh, I guess I'm in a human body here, kind of thing. But
Uh-huh.
luckily, the higher self, now that she had that awareness, uh, they asked for a healing, and healing occurred. Where eczema went away in short order.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool to read that case history. But that shows you
Yes.
how with the things we have, we don't always have to be stuck with something now. We can go to the root of it, and there's in many cases we, if we've learned the lesson that we needed to learn from having that illness or something, you don't need it anymore. So on from the other side, they're willing to do healings for you. So
Exactly, exactly, and that's the gift of working through spirit. For me, like going back through my dad having colon, the Mendenhall family having colon cancer. That it's like I went back through father, mother, mother, father, father, mother. And went back through a lot of different lives. Went back to this one uh generation back, probably early 1900s, and this kid who basically had problems um believing that they were valued because they were made out of incest. They weren't a valued family member. And so they really had a hard time digesting their life. They basically sabotaged their life because they had no value. They were basically dirt under a rug. And so with that I took that person and gave them a hug and said that they were valued, and I asked for healing with them. And with doing that, and then I came back through the same path that I went back in, and came up, and I healing from anybody who was willing to receive it in the family, and through my lineage of my children.
yeah,
So that with that, now it's up to my children to believe that they're healed, and it's up to other family members to believe that they're healed. But that's the thing is that we have to believe, even if it's a fake belief, until we get known otherwise. And then if you get and I don't know how much I'm healed until the day I pass. Then I'll look
yeah,
back and go, yeah, I did it. But until now, I have to believe. I have to believe,
yeah,
and I'm asking my gut to heal.
yeah. The one thing I like, since uh, there's a system out there, it's called quantum healing hypnosis technique.
Mhm.
I am certified through them and also through the Newton Institute for Life Between Lives. And I combine the sessions where when people are on the other side, like, people get to go for a counsel in the afterlife and I get all their questions answered. It's really cool. And then we can talk about their health issues. And um, I've been beginning to witness how powerful that is. I know other therapists have been doing it longer than I, with adding the healing part in there, have had, miracles happen. But it's really got me to see now that there's really um, pretty much not anything that can't be healed, or at least an understanding you can get about why you have your issues.
Mm-hmm.
A few times on the other side, when we asked for healing, they said, well, we can't do that because this problem, this health problem you have, is every time you realize you have that problem, reminds you of some issues that you need to work on, or while you're here, while you're in this body. So the illness was actually just something they were going to have to live with.
Mm-hmm.
But now that they knew the reason for it, it made it much easier to cope with it, or deal with it,
Mm-hmm.
that way. So,
And that's the
uh,
thing is that I've learned, because of a shoulder thing that I have, that going through, looking at the other side of it, going through the doorway. There's been times where my muscles were spasming so bad I couldn't even pull up my pants, or I couldn't do what I needed to do. And so with that, but I would go through the other side of it. Okay, pain, you're here. I know you can get worse, but let's go through that pain. Let me
yeah,
find out what's on the other side of that pain. And it was amazing that me standing at that doorway of going, oh, I don't want to move because it's going to hurt more, that it actually hurt more than going, okay,
yeah,
I'm going to go through the pain and feel it and understand it and respect it and know it and 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 say, okay, this is my new normal, and this is going to be for right now. And it actually took the angst away from it. So then
yeah.
it didn't heighten, it didn't constrict as much.
Yeah, I've had to do that twice myself, and I do it with clients all the time. And you find out if you're in a lot of pain, you've got pretty much two choices, and one is to fight it and curse it and get all uptight about it, and the other one is to go with the flow. You know,
Hmm.
and when you go with the flow, it's a lot less painful, and people are surprised, uh, sometimes how much less it is when they relax to the pain. There's an exercise people listening that you can do if you're having trouble with pain. Um, the exercise you do is you close your eyes and you imagine pain coming to your door. Okay, however you're going to imagine what pain looks like. It's going to knock on your door, and at first you're going to go, oh, I don't want to answer that damn door. Oh my God, I'm going to be looking pain right in the eye. But you do it with a loving heart, and you open the door, and you go, hey, pain, come on in. You're going to be here. You might as well come in and sit down for a while instead of yelling at me from the outside. And I have some people make cookies for it or whatever, sit down at the table, talk about, actually talk to the pain. Like, why are you here? Why am I having to go through all this, and just doing that exercise and even giving pain a hug, like say, look, I know you're doing your job, because of something
Hmm.
I did or something I need to learn. So I can't be mad at you, sorry, I'm not going to kick you out. So it's like making friends, with the pain. It's weird, but it's something happens in your mind where you're able was when you were, locking and bolting all the doors, barricading yourself somewhere in the house so the pain couldn't get to you. And it just makes it worse that way. So you could do a lot with the power of the mind, you know.
Hmm. You really can, because I know that for me, that the pain that I was in with my shoulders and stuff like that, that some of that was, I know for me, I would have done more. I was willing to pick up 50-pound bags. I know I was willing to do all this stuff, but me not being able to do that, it was part of my scenario of not treating my body worse. And then part of that story was is that I could become a victim pretty darn easy,
Yeah.
back in my younger years. And so with that learning how to say, to body, okay, body, I know we're going to have to do some work here. I'll respect you later, but right now we're going to have to do a lot of arm work. So we're going to do this, and then I'm going to respect and have quieter tomorrow. Or I knew that I had to go do something tomorrow. And so I would talk to my husband and say, let's do a little bit of yard work, but I can't do a lot because I'm going to go use my arms tomorrow. And
Yeah.
so there was that fine line of respecting the body. And it was funny because my husband's usually one that just pushes through it. And I heard him say the other day, I got a golfing tournament tomorrow. So, I'll go out and help
Yeah.
you trim the bushes, but I don't want to get into doing a bunch of yard work.
Yeah.
And so I said, that's fine, because he used language that I've been using, and it's like, thank you for treating your body better. Thank you for treating your body better.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I'm trying to get
the lighting right.
yeah,
Well, you're fine.
there.
There we go.
There we go. That's a little better.
So Veronica says, I always say, it's only pain. That is that okay, or should I reward that? Um, you
Yeah.
know, there's a fine line between. I guess it's more having an understanding with pain. It's not necessarily saying that pain is okay, but it's kind of like saying to a friend that's a little grumpy, I know you're grumpy, but I need boundaries.
Yeah.
There's that fine line that's saying that, and not becoming a victim of pain, just like you wouldn't want to become a victim of your grumpy friend. So if you think of pain like a grumpy friend, then you can kind of say, you can have a little empathy with it, you can have some understanding with it, you can work through, well, why are you grumpy, because sometimes we can talk to a grumpy friend, and it's negotiating with it. It's that, being okay. But I also know that, like when my arms were spasming, that, there's that part of saying, okay, I don't want to move, I don't want to move, I don't want to move, but I'm going to move all at once and do everything I need to do, so that I have to deal with my pain at one time. So there's that negotiation that we do. So there's no right or wrong. There's
Yeah.
really no right or wrong. But there is the point that there is pain for a reason, and
Yeah.
respecting it. So like if your knee, or like, or your elbow hurts, use it, tell it that it needs to be used. But at the same time, if it's in peak ouch mode, don't push it. I mean, but yet if it's in, I'm a little discomfort, then you can say, we're going to do a little bit today, and we'll do a little bit more later.
Yeah. Hmm. And what I'm thinking about too with pain, there's two basic types of pain, and one of them's not really addressed a lot of times. There's the physical pain when we talk about we got a broken arm, or someone's going through cancer and their body is aching and hurting. But what some people complain about more than anything and wish they didn't have is emotional pain. And these are things that have happened to you in your life, when you think about them, or they come up, and then you feel sick, or you go into panic attacks, or you just feel horrible. And the thing that Natasha and I can do for you there, both of us have techniques and things that we can use to actually eliminate that, to get rid of that, because we can find out what's behind it all. And there's in traditional therapy now, there's amazing things that deal with emotional pain that are just, they work. So they're almost panaceas for curing almost anything. Like some people would say they're like 90% effective with emotional pain. And
Mm-hmm.
that's EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. It's like
That
psychological
tapping.
acupuncture, right? The
Mm-hmm.
other thing is the havening technique, which is similar. As you're talking about your issue, you're touching these different parts of your body like this. And if people see me doing this right now, if you just do this for like 5 minutes,
So
you will
you're
feel
basically
so good.
rubbing your forehead and rubbing
Yeah.
around your nose, and then
And you're
your
down
and
your
then off down,
arms.
yeah,
Yeah.
your shoulders, and go down your arms, and
And
those
your
are for
and your
people on
hands.
podcast later. You know
Yeah.
that there, but that's, what it basically is touching the body and saying you love your body.
Yeah.
And I
It's
know
very
for
healing.
me, yeah, I know for me, emotional pain has been huge, because my neck, that was a lot of emotional pain, dealing with being the intuitive that I am in this lifetime, and being able to speak. But what it was is that I've been dealing with the emotional pain. So now I just need to deal with the physical body's um triggers. So
Yeah.
for me, I got to where I was going to the chiropractor every 3 weeks, and that helped my body stay in tune, so that as the emotional energy moved through with different scenarios, my physical body was able to negotiate it. So there is the physical application to emotional situations, but how
Yeah.
can we find the balance of those two to negotiate? Understand the body. Like if you're going through an emotional time, don't eat a bunch of crappy food to trigger the bad digestive system that we may have.
Yeah.
So you know treating, like for me, my body got triggered, so what did I do? I went and got good chicken noodle soup, because I wanted to hug my body more than I wanted to trigger my body again.
Yeah. hmm One of my sessions this week was amazing, and some emotional pain that was healed when um, one of the when she came for a life between life session to visit the afterlife. She was hoping to be able to talk to her mother. You know, uh, what we found in our research with 70,000 people is that when a soul is up there and decides to be born, they look to see how difficult their life's going to be, and then they decide how much of themselves, how much of their soul self they're going to put in the human body. The rest stays home.
Hmm.
So she had a very abusive mother, and a lot of kids, but the mom was abusive. Everybody it just was an ongoing hurtful thing for her. Well, on the other side, when she went to her soul group, which most people get to do, she saw her mother there, and she had a conversation with her mother. And the higher self of the mother said, "I'm sorry that my lower self, that's down there, is being so cruel to you, but." She's had a very, very, very hard life. I mean, and when you hear some of the things that happened, her mom was not expecting to deal with all that when she incarnated, and it was
Yep.
more than she could handle. So I had just had an aha moment, and I said, well, ask the heavenly side of your mom if she will hold you. Oh my gosh. And the mom up there said yes, and she just cried and
Oh.
cried and cried. Oh, and she said that was the first time I felt mother's love like I wished I'd had all my life. And it
Uh-huh.
was so emotional for both of us, sitting there seeing this happen. But when she came back and we're talking about it, now she can view her mom totally different, because she
Hmm.
knows that her mom has all these issues in her lower self that she's working on. And so she's going to concentrate it on when she sees her mom, of seeing that higher self that's behind the dysfunction, the part
Hmm.
that's always in the afterlife. So, but she just, it was so cool to see her feel that, because
Oh, what a gift.
we all want this love from our parents, and
Uh-huh.
sometimes people never get it in this
We
lifetime.
can't, yeah, because it's physical. But I would say also to your client that to remember that love is that she's still going to want to have boundaries with her mother in the physical
Yes,
body.
and that's
She's,
good, right? Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, that she's going to want to have, that when mom starts being abusive again, that you just say, Mom, I love you enough to leave.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love you enough to leave. And there's that balance of scenarios that we go through, that we forget that, as much as we do emotional and spiritual healing, we still have the physical application to walk through with it. And that's a thing. It's that same story that I said about, with my family having the colon cancer. Do I have colon cancer? No, I'm free from that. I am free from that. And even last night when my stomach was having problems, I was saying thank you for relieving myself of the stress in my gut. Instead of it sitting in there and twisting and turning and causing more ickiness, my body was able to say, okay, if you don't want to be sick, it's coming out.
yeah,
So I said thank you, as much as I didn't like the action, but I said thank you,
yeah,
because of the fact that when we're doing this healing work, we have to be willing to negotiate the physical application of doing this, and that is believing it's healed. And I don't know how many times when I twisted my ankle that I did Reiki on it. Even though it still hurt, I did a lot of Reiki on it. We're healing, we're healing. I know you're healing. And then when it just didn't want to heal, I got other advice. And somebody said, who was intuitive, you have an attachment to your ankle, and gave me that idea, or gave me the knowledge. And it was like boop, 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 and take care of it. And then the healing aspect was able to do. And I know that sometimes when we do get ailments in our body, there is energy stuck. Like I was doing a reading on a cat on the radio show yesterday, and this cat had eczema, a dry spot on her arm that she kept licking. but I said that she had trauma she's a rescue. She had trauma to her arm, and now that she's in a safe place, her that energy is starting to want to come out because it's feeling safe. And so that's the thing is that when we start feeling safe and we start going forward, and Sue, this is probably, a thing for your part of your body that is ailing, is that you're finally feeling safe and you're feeling good enough to be able to work through some of these emotions that are coming to that spot or that part of the body, and negotiating. And that's where I have certain books. Do I have it here? I don't think I have it here. But it's about Louise Hayes had a book about it, that it's different parts of the body. What do different parts of the body mean?
Oh yeah.
And Ina Siegel has one that I love. Ina Siegel. And I thought I had it right here, but I don't. But she has, it's right here. It whispered to me around the corner. So
yes, that's a good book.
Yeah, The Secret Language of the Body by Ina Siegel. She's from Australia. And, I look at this all the time, and I gave you something about your lungs,
you
and
did.
It was like,
it was
almost
good.
like almost everything that she said was right on for what you were negotiating.
Yeah.
And so with that going forward and looking up certain parts of the body, I even do that, even though I have an understanding about the body, but there's certain things that come forth that give me a chance to negotiate that. And that's the thing, is right now we got a lot of planets out there that are really triggering us to do the shadow work. And how can we negotiate that? How can we really negotiate that?
Yeah, for a matter of fact, here's some information too for you men that listen to this podcast, or women. There's an organization. It's called the Mankind Project, and they have centers in a lot of different parts of the world right now, and they have people dedicated there to help you do shadow work. If you want to do it on your own, they have these seminars and things, and people have tremendous breakthroughs in these, to where you feel safe to actually turn around and look that darkness right in the eye, and you're supported by all these people. They did it for men at first, and men's lives were being changed so drastically that the women were screaming, well, why can't you do something for us? Men aren't the only ones that get pissed once in a while and angry and everything. So they started a section for women. But if you go online and just type in the Mankind Project, and you could get information there. They're really good. They're really good with working. I went through it, and it transformed me. And that was when it was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're still there,
Well, that's the thing, is there's sometimes when doing personal work is personal, and sometimes doing personal work in a group is very healing too, because you listen to other people and you know that you're not the only one dealing with this.
Yes.
And I know you men have gone through a stripping down of your core ideals of who you should be.
Right. That's what they do.
The stripping down of it, and to become these newer versions of manhood. Who can be a very gentle father instead of the father who just goes off to work and comes home, who can stay home and change diapers instead of saying, that's too sticky, I'm not going to do that. There's this stripping down, or to hold a woman who's crying and not go, oh, I don't know what to do with that. It's like, or be willing to be held by a woman because a man is crying. There's this new evolution that's coming, and I know for a lot of fact that a lot of men have back problems or heart problems because of the fact that they're not meant to hold up the world anymore, or they want to feel love like they've never felt love before. And so their heart chakra is trying to help them feel love, and they can't, because there is this boundary that has been put up from generations.
Yeah. This too, I just came to my mind. I'm afraid I'll forget if I don't mention this, but sometimes people come for healing, or they come for just regular therapy where they want to talk to somebody and have you try to help them through things. And then you find out that as much as we throw the kitchen sink at it and not too much is happening. And then what we found out is some people, they come to the healing, but their subconscious is so strong and not wanting to let go of this issue that they have for certain reasons. We call it secondary gain. In other words, they don't want to get better because if they don't have that sickness anymore, they're not going to get the attention.
Tension.
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they want. Smucker's, the woman who's from Smucker's Jams,
Mm-hmm.
there's this famous case with her. She was like in a family, it was like 9 kids or 10 kids or something like. She was the youngest, and never got attention ever, and just so in most of her young childhood, she was sick and ill with one thing or another, And when she got to be an adult, she carried that on. Well, in therapy, she finally realized that the reason she made herself sick when she was young is that's the only time she could get her mom's attention.
Yep.
Because when you're sick, mom's got to pay attention to you. So the subconscious got that as a modality to always get attention. So in her adult life, when she wasn't feeling like she's getting the attention needs something, she would find herself sick. So, once people realize that, it's a big awakening, and they can stop that now and actually get healed. But think of that sometimes. If you people out there think about when you're sick or something, oh, everybody comes and gives you love and attention and sends you
Mm-hmm.
cards, and all your friends are saying they hope you get well. And so you're getting that quota of affection that you're not getting otherwise, but
Exactly. I know I
it's
struggled
not
with that
healthy.
one. Yeah, I struggled that with my arms because remember me talking about how I used to have spasms in them so bad that I couldn't move. Well, if I had spasms and I had that, I couldn't vacuum. I
Yeah,
couldn't lift the pots. People would have to drain the potatoes for
yeah,
me. I couldn't wash the shower. I could, it's like finally the husband who was alcoholic was rubbing cream on my back, to
yeah,
stop the spasms. So, and he would have sympathy for me because he would watch the spasms go off in my back. And
yeah,
he'd be like, oh man, but then, that was the thing though. I had to go past that. And I had to say, okay, I understand I have to respect my body. And let's say if I'm headachy and kind of achy that day, I'm not going to vacuum. But if I'm feeling good, tell my body, okay, we're going to vacuum, but that's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to negotiate. And then I bought a special vacuum that would negotiate with my body. So it was like I did some outer work to be able to negotiate I am actually getting attention when my body hurts. I don't like to have that. I don't like things to have power over me.
yeah,
That is one thing that I've learned in my life. That's why I don't drink. That's why I don't smoke. That's why I don't do a lot of things, because of the fact that I don't like things having power over me. And so when I got that knowledge, I went, oh, okay, who has the power here?
yeah.
Who has the power here? And I really asked that question. And that's the question that I have over like my family having Lou Gehrig's and MS and MD, on one side and then cancer on the other side. It's like I can fall victim to that, or I can just say, you know what?
Yeah.
Boundaries, boundaries,
That
boundaries.
people out there, if you're watching this later and you smoke, I have to say hypnosis is one of the best ways. It's not the only way, but it's been proven to be one of the best ways to stop smoking. Because just think about it for a minute, that little that little thing with a little plant in it that you carry around in your pocket all day, it has control of you. It dictates what you do all day long. Where you
Mm-hmm.
go and what you do and how much work you do and everything. That little tiny thing that weighs nothing that you could squish like that is controlling you. You're like the little puppet, and that's the big master for you.
Mm-hmm.
And people resent that, but they don't know how to get rid of that. And some people that go to hypnosis, in fact, a nice percentage quit in 1 or 2 or 3 sessions, and they don't smoke again. Because you got to get to the subconscious and to kind of say no, no, no. We're not doing that anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
if a person's suggestible enough, then hypnosis works real well for that. Some people, we had one person come to Hypnosis Motivational Institute for over a year, every week for a session. And I think it was almost when it was the anniversary, she tells the therapist and says, you know what? I've been coming here a year now and I'm still smoking. I don't think I should be doing this anymore. And then the therapist said to her, says, well, you know, how much were you smoking when you came? I'll say Dolores. And she goes, well, you know, I was a 2-pack a day woman. And he says, how many cigarettes you smoking now? And she goes, oh yeah, maybe just a couple cigarettes a day, you know. So she had made it, you know, most of the way out of the woods, but not all the way out. So
Hmm.
hypnosis was working. It's just it's different for everybody, you know.
Well, and what I would look at too is that there's a lot of times when we have these scenarios going on, addictions, that we have attachments,
Yeah,
these extra energies, these extra beings that like to say, take another smoke, take another
yeah,
smoke. And I bet you that lady I get a feeling, just getting an overall feeling, that
yeah,
she did have something that was not totally there for her benefit, that was kind of a little bit snarly, I'm going to call
yeah,
it, that liked to have this cigarettes around, and so
yeah.
was kind of sabotaging her a little bit on that,
Well, you know,
you know.
like last week we were talking about, you know, evil spirits and things, or right around Halloween we were anyway. And I still don't quite understand that, but I can see how it would be where, like, you're in a bar or someplace like that, and that any spirits that you know were used to be here and have the addictions, and now they're not quite all the way to the other side, and they'd want to hang around places like that because they could sometimes
Hmm.
vicariously enjoy the smoking and everything. So
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly, and it's not and you can tell when you kind of have something attached to you, because you're feeling a little, this is not me, I'm feeling heavy, I'm feeling gray, um I'm feeling kind of like, just, but if you get used to it, you don't feel that.
yeah,
But I can tell you that, dealing with this with my loved one who's with me, that, there's many times where he walks in and I'm like going, you know, tells him to come in, my husband to come in, and whatever's attached to him, get the hell out, because no, because he's picked up
yeah,
something through work or that kind of stuff, and it's just something that we do. I have to be careful even where I go, going through the grocery store. Sometimes you walk by somebody, and then afterwards you feel kind of like, ugh, and it's not necessarily that you want to say that about the person, but then it's like, if you're a bright light, if you're somebody who has love, that energy would kind of say, hey, I like that bright light, and then it's like, just get off of me.
yeah.
It's like a stink on a rug, type of thing. But as we go through life, did your lights time out?
They're on a timer. It's in old. This isn't in. It used to be a FedEx truck, and so I guess if they forgot to turn the lights out in here when they had stuff, and it's getting dark outside now. You know, there we go.
Uh-huh.
It's getting dark outside, so pretty soon, you know, oh, you won't even be able to see my eyes, just see my head moving, you know, here. But
I hear you.
oh,
I
and
hear you.
I want to share one other thing. It was I had had 6 sessions in the last 9 days,
Wow.
and 5 of them had they were A+, where they all got to go to the other side. They all got to spend a
Oh,
couple hours over there.
congratulations.
Yeah, it was. I just had a great week. The only one that didn't was a young lady, and uh, because some issues came up in her current life we had to deal with, it brought up a lot of emotion. And then we got into the session. She actually went to a past life, and that past life, the death scene was a little much for her. I got her out of it real quick, but just she started just having a really bad headache. So I ended
Yeah.
up bringing her out, you know, and said, look, we'll work on that. You know, I'm going to do a free session for her when I come back down next time.
Yeah.
But she at least, you know, went to a past life and had that experience, which was interesting for her because she's one of the youngest that's come to me so far, you
Oh,
know, to do
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's
So
interesting, and young ones, sometimes they need to be prepped a little differently.
yeah, she was. I was amazed how I would call old soul she kind of was, you know,
Mhm.
that way. Oh, and the other thing too is one of my clients was healed from a lot of her emotional trauma in this life. She she was disappointed at first because she's in the afterlife and she has no body. You know, she's just this energy floating around everywhere, and her human self under trance is going, oh, I'm not seeing any people. I'm not seeing any bodies. Oh no. But as she got into it, all of a sudden she was like she was like a son. I mean, she said that's the only thing she could say. She was encapsulated in this energy. And when she was laying there, she just kept saying, feel I'm on fire, feel my head, feel my hands, and it felt pretty normal to me, but she was feeling this, and she could see herself just shooting out this energy. And it was so, and pretty soon I'm talking to her about some of her issues. She says, those don't even matter, because my body down there, that's not even me. This is me, this loving
Right.
energy. This
Mm-hmm.
is me. So why does, and she goes, no, that bothers me now, because I'm this. This is me. This is the real me. It was so cool.
Congratulations to her.
Yeah, and then next day she emailed me. She said she woke up sunburned. You know, that's pretty interesting because of the heat that was going through her body, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that made the experience even more real. And she just, just walking in the door and meeting her, she's just, oh my God, just gives me chills. She was an amazing, I think
cool. Congratulations.
She's just changing the world, and what she does and everything. Very beautiful person, that way.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, so there's healings. It's good that, I felt good this week because I felt even in a couple of sessions where normal things came up, and I would pull them aside a little bit and say, hey, let's do some regular therapy, and some healings happened, so it was a good week, but kind of wore me out a little bit.
I bet. I know the session that you did with me when I was down there with staying in your place, that staying with you guys, that was amazing. I know that there's certain things that came that seemed like, they weren't important, but it was like the pieces of the puzzle came forth as time is going on. And
that's
it's
what
like,
happens in these sessions.
and it's amazing to be able to negotiate that. I'm grateful because there's certain scenarios that I asked help for in different past lives, and now they're bringing that energy around to come into fruition. So, doing this work, healing work, I'm going to say that it is. I don't want to say it's treacherous work. I'm not saying that it's painful work. I'm not saying that it's even negative work, but it is getting yourself. I love that mantra, the metaphor, putting your vehicle in 4-wheel drive, which is your body, mind, spirit, putting it in 4-wheel drive and willing to negotiate what's in front of you and going through the implosions. It's like that video game where you're driving through all the explosions, because of the fact that those implosions are the things that come inward to teach us what we're supposed to learn. And if that even means different boundaries, even having different boundaries can create different boundaries with ourselves. Like for me, having different boundaries with myself, okay, I'm not going to allow myself to be a victim of pain to have everybody else do work for me. It was nice. It wasn't right, but it was balance. It's that balance of saying, like for me, my husband does the chopping because that's not good for me. And he's 6 foot and I'm 5 foot. So I get down and pick up the branches that he goes chop, chop, chop with. So it's that finding the balance and the boundaries to work together to where if you do have a physical thing, how can you negotiate it to be a better thing? If that makes any sense. And it's knowing the background of it. It's knowing the whys. It's knowing how to do it, but be willing to say, I'm done. I'm done with this and I'm receiving, because we're going into a new moon on Wednesday. And that new moon's about bringing new in. So what do you want to bring in with this healing that we're having? We have great opportunities now.
Yeah. Well, and we're like saying, as we're closing up our hour, is that, pain and emotional and physical pain, start looking at it a little differently than just something that's unpleasant. Start to realize that a lot of times it's there to teach us something.
Hey, teacher, what you want to teach me today?
And then be willing to examine yourself and see what you've done to cause it. And then if you can't find that, then just start, asking the universe, in a sense, why do I have this? You could come to people like Natasha or myself. We can usually help you find out why. And that's what's really fun, because it's not that hard to do. People go into trance. Natasha can just close her eyes. She can sense it and just tell you, But
yep.
what I do, most people, they don't think that they can be hypnotized, and that's not correct. Everybody can be if you allow it to. And
Mm-hmm.
usually in the sessions I have, it's about 90 something percent successful. Sometimes it takes a little while for someone to just let go and to go into trance, but it's kind of a natural thing that you can do if you don't fight it, you know. And in there, we can just, it's like opening the car hood, you know. We can, you know, if you don't pop the hood, the mechanic can't get in there, you know, to see what's wrong. So you got to be willing to pop the hood and be vulnerable and let the hood go up,
Exactly. I
and then
know
we
that.
can get in there and work, you know.
Exactly, because I know some of my meditations that I bring people through, that it's a lot of their own hypnosis type of scenario, because I guide them through what they're seeing, and it's a communication kind of like the same way. So it's
Yeah,
amazing. Healing is just, I'm just in awe of how we're able to heal if we allow it.
yeah,
If we
that's right.
allow
We
it.
need
I
to
know I've
allow it.
talked to somebody who says, that just doesn't resonate with me. But if you let things resonate with you just enough, sometimes we can heal quite a bit.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways you can do it. So Natasha and I are happy to help you. Matter of fact, you
Oh,
can reach me
definitely.
at, yeah, visit the afterlife right on the screen there.com. For even if you don't want to do the spiritual therapy, we have some wonderful things to help you a lot just in traditional therapy. And even Natasha, just she's an intuitive, so she can just even do life coach stuff with you, just common sense stuff that you might not be thinking because of your, you know, your stress or something. You know, we can
Yeah,
help
the
you get through
patterns.
that. Yeah. So I can do sessions on Zoom, you know, FaceTime, in person. Like now I'm Southern California, I'm 500 miles from home right now. Well, for about 400. But I go all the way down to Mexico, you know, to parts of it there to see people sometimes. So anywhere in California, pretty much I can see it. Or, you know, Zoom, like Natasha will tell you too, just like you're seeing us now, well, we're seeing you, just like I'm seeing Natasha on the screen right here
Hmm.
now, and it's just like we're there. I mean, this energy work has no, uh, you know, you could be on the moon and we're looking at each other, and the energy and immediately. I don't know.
Comes through.
Would
Hmm.
it take a few seconds? Like I'd be talking and then I have to wait 3 seconds, and then Natasha would hear me, and then wait 3 seconds. No, it's the kind of energy we have. I think you can go to infinity and back, you know, with this energy. So
Hmm.
we're happy to help you. So videos, a lot of videos on my website. There's a book on there I'm giving away about reincarnation research around the world, which is cool. Just ask for it on my contact page there. And if you want to have a session, either call me in person or, you know, email me. And then Natasha, you're at angelicclarifications.com.
Yep.
Yeah. So they
Angelic
just have to,
clarifications. Yeah, that's a long one, but it just really makes sense because of the angelic
yes.
and then the clarifications that I do. So
Yeah.
with that I love to work in the shadows with people. I love to not, like, somebody says, Natasha, you're the voice of reason. Let me be your voice of reason, because there is that balance of you know oh, I am saying that, oh, I am doing that. Or, like, for me, sometimes when I'm sitting down with somebody and there's this shame that's sitting right in front of us, and it's hard to work, and I ask that shame to sit to the side so that we can be more of a witness of what's going on, because of how we get parts of us that want to be in control, and they don't need to be in control. So with that trusting the process of going through the healing process, it's amazing, and we feel so much lighter, and we feel so much more. So even if we go through the implosions, they still hurt. They still take our legs out from underneath us, but we can bounce right back up after, a few minutes, instead of going
Yeah.
through 3 months of, holy crap, what was that about? And so with that,
Mhm.
it's finding the balance. So you can reach me at angelicclarifications.com, or you can email me at Natasha at angelicclarifications.com.
Yeah, so tune in next Monday at 4 o'clock Pacific time. Or Natasha also has her own personal show at 4 o'clock on Wednesdays
Yep.
Pacific time.
Exactly. And I am also going to be on tomorrow, on um
What are you going to be on?
uh, I'm going to be on, Intuitive Meltdown, with Mari Brockman, and I'm not saying her name right. And so I'm going to be on her show tomorrow at 2 o'clock Pacific time on Facebook. You can go to yeah, I was gonna have it right here, and I did not have it. I apologize. Looking up. So it's on oh uh Metaphysical Meltdown, and it's on Mari Beckman on
Oh,
Facebook.
nice.
Yeah,
On
she's only
Facebook.
on Facebook. So with that, you
Wow.
can do that.
Metaphysical, what is it called? Metaphysical breakdown?
Meltdown.
Meltdown.
Yeah,
Oh, that could be interesting. That could be a lot of things,
Yeah,
you
she's
know?
a very big intuitive, and she does a lot of work, and she's I was supposed to be on her show a while ago, and she got sick and stuff like that. Things happen. All of us
Yeah.
have ailments. It doesn't matter how intuitive you are. We all have our personal work. So if you know of somebody who would like to listen to the show, but only listens to podcasts, you can go to Life Clarifications with Natasha, and we are on most podcast platforms. So please come and watch. And if you like a show, please follow or like, share, or whatever you need to do. And if you're looking some other videos, I have my YouTube channel, Natasha Venter, and there's lots of them on there. I'm doing a mantra of the week. And so I do a video of what those mantras are, and you can find those on my Facebook channel or on my YouTube channel.
Oh, those are great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do videos to explain a little bit more why I'm picking those mantras
Yeah.
and how to negotiate them. So blessings,
Okay.
everyone. Have a
Okay.
wonderful week, and remember, we're coming into a new moon. So think positive. What do you want new in your life? So blessings to all.
Okay. Be healthy.
Be healthy. Think healthy. Say
Think
healthy.
healthy. There you go.
Bye now.
See you next time.